videos like this might actually make you feel a certain way when you leave, and that emotion is likely to be anger or detest for our government. So please don't take it out on me. I'm just a messenger. I'm just equally as frustrated about what we're about to take a look at together in this video. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage you all to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It does really help grow the channel. We're starting off with Danielle Smith, Premier Danielle Smith, and how you have these disgusting MLAs in Alberta that are basically using this parliamentary privilege, which means that when they're doing question period or they're in the House doing their job, they can say whatever they want, and there's literally no legal repercussions at all whatsoever. Like, it's not held up in court. Doesn't matter what is said or how crazy it is. And I feel like that's wrong. What you're seeing in this video, what we're going to see, is the MLAs are attacking not just Danielle Smith, but her husband, going after her family. And as somebody who's been attacked by MLAs in BC, by the NDP, for literally just sitting up in the balcony and existing and breathing the air, that led to death threats to me and my children. Like, that's fucked up. That's absolutely disgusting. So those crazy lunatics that are getting paid $100,000 a year to wear a suit and tie and go to a job and do pretty much nothing other than talk crap about people, you are literally responsible for people's lives that are in danger. That's messed up, and there should very much be some repercussions. So we're going to start off with that because it gets pretty nasty. And then, speaking of nasty, we have to take a look at Doug Ford, who sits down with another premier in Canada and breaks down intra-provincial trade barriers. That's right. And you might be wondering, whoa, what changed? I didn't know we could do that. What kind of powers have they been given to be able to do this? Nothing. Turns out that these assholes could have done it all this time. But more on that later. Let's get into the threats towards Danielle Smith's husband.
I'm tired of the rumors and innuendo and slander against my family that I've been hearing about for months.
Alberta's premier red hot at one of her former cabinet ministers. Danielle Smith's angry response sparked Tuesday during questions about her husband David Moretta and his presence in government meetings.
Besides registering as a lobbyist, it is essential to reveal insider relationships. To the Premier, has your husband ever been a registered lobbyist while you were Premier, and if so, for what purpose?
He has never, ever been registered as a lobbyist because he has never, ever lobbied any government, including ours, and I would ask for the innuendo and the slander to stop.
Last year, the Tyee reported that Moretta attended a government meeting with a private company about a proposed mega project to build a railway line from Calgary to Banff. Peter Guthrie, who was kicked out of the UCP caucus last month, also said there are rumors that Moretta was given confidential documents on the project.
As Minister of Infrastructure, I was invited to attend a meeting with David Moretta about Banff Rail. And given, I declined the request because I had concerns about the appropriateness of such a meeting.
A point of order was called on Guthrie.
I would also challenge that member to take this line of questioning outside of the chamber and see where it lands that member. Because I'll tell you what, Mr. Speaker, this is out of line, it's disgusting.
That exchange then drew another point of order against Government House Leader Joseph Scow.
Although I may be inexperienced parliamentary-wise, Mr. Speaker, I am experienced a little bit when it comes to what challenging someone into a fight sounds like. It's important members feel safe to be able to question this government.
Both Guthrie and Scow withdrew their comments, and Scow apologized. In a statement, the Premier's office said Smith's husband has attended a few meetings because he is a rail enthusiast, but insisted he is not lobbying for anything.
What is the spouse of the Premier doing at a meeting? I suppose we would all like to attend cabinet meetings because we're interested in something, but we don't have that kind of access, nor should we.
Guthrie said Wednesday he has no proof that Moretta has anything to gain by going to meetings, but repeated that this whole situation is bad for government trust.
When confronted with legitimate questions, I was met with anger, hostility, and threats.
The Premier's office said Guthrie is using protected privilege of the legislature to slander MLAs and their families.
Well, that was pretty disturbing, and I don't know what kind of action Danielle Smith can take or will take moving forward, but we're certainly going to keep our eye on this story as it kind of develops. Next up, we're taking a look at the fat pig with rabies. Not mentality. Literally, Doug Ford is just a humongous fat pig. I got no problem saying it anymore. What are you going to do? Write another article about me in CTV? You can contact me, any journalist that want to write an article. At least do me that. Contact me first. The fat pig sits down with another large pig. He's not fat, looks pretty in shape, but he's super large. And what they talk about, or what they sign, is interprovincial trade barriers, poof, disappearing. Now again, what's changed from 6 months ago or a year ago to now? Well, tariffs, sure, that's changed, but that doesn't mean that anything really in terms of their power has changed. Tariffs can happen, they cannot happen, but what has changed in the legislation or in the rule book to give them these powers? Well, that answer is simple. Nothing has changed. So whether there's tariffs or not tariffs, the answer still is nothing has changed. So, okay, let's go back further than a year. 2 years ago, nothing has changed. 5 years ago, nothing has changed. 10 years ago, nothing has changed. So why now? What's going on? And don't get this twisted. I'm happy that interprovincial trade barriers are coming down. Genuinely, I'm happy. This is good for our country. So don't take my criticism or my analysis, my hot-headed analysis, as a way that this is bad. No. This is good. But what's bad is that it's for like weird political gain. Instead of doing the job that would have benefit Canadians a long time ago, they're doing it now with the elbows up mentality. So let's get right into it.
And Premier Doug Ford and Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew are signing a memorandum of understanding this morning at Queen's Park. We take you there live for that announcement.
I'll give you counseling after this. As you all know, the last month of our government introduced the Protect Ontario Through Free Trade Within Canada Act. In fact, it was the first piece of legislation we introduced following the election in February. The reason for this is simple. Supporting real free trade within Canada is one of the best ways to grow our economy, support our workers, unify our country, and protect Ontario. Yet right now, interprovincial trade barriers are costing our national economy up to $200 billion every year and increasing the cost of everyday goods and services by up to nearly 15%. In fact, like President Trump's tariffs, they divide us and hold back our economy. We can no longer afford to let this happen. With President Trump's tariffs taking direct aim at Canada, we need to do everything in our power to unleash our economy and create new opportunities for workers and businesses. We need to cut the red tape.
Once again, this angers me so much because cutting the red tape is something that is overused and always underlooked. What does that mean? It means what they're doing right now. What's different from right now than 5 years ago, 2 years ago, 6 months ago? Nothing. It's all red tape that they have put up, all these barriers that these a-holes have been putting in place for whatever reason, monetary reason, power, dominance. Who cares? What's the point of even speculating? They could have done this years ago, and now they're doing it. Don't get me wrong. Again, I'm happy that it's happening. But again, Stockholm Syndrome, I'm not going to pretend that they aren't the ones that caused the problem.
And make Ontario and Canada the most competitive place in the G7 to invest, create jobs, and do business. That's why we introduced our legislation to tear down internal trade barriers and make it easier for workers from other provinces to come and work right here in Ontario. And I'm proud to say that last month, Ontario became the first province in Canada to unconditionally remove all of our exceptions under the Canadian Free Trade Agreement. And we're doing even more. Last month, Premier Houston, I got to give Premier Houston a big shout out. I know he's traveling right now, stirring up business for Nova Scotia, but he's helping lead the way. And as well as Premier Holt from New Brunswick, signed agreements here in Toronto to support free trade between their provinces and Ontario. And today, Premier Canoe and I will be signing our own agreement to unlock free trade between Manitoba and Ontario. Think of this. These are big numbers. Our two provinces already do approximately $19.5 billion of interprovincial trade every single year. But we can do better. As neighbors and partners within Canada, Ontario and Manitoba can lead the way by creating new opportunities for goods, services, and workers to move freely between our provinces. And that's what today's agreement will do to help all of us. I'm looking forward to working with Premier Canoe and all my fellow premiers to unlock free trade within Canada so we can build a stronger, more resilient economy that can stand up to tariffs and anything else that may come our way. I want to thank you and may God bless the people of Ontario. And I'll hand it over to my champ, Premier Canoe. Over to you, my friend.
This is politics. When people say that politics is disgusting and it's greasy and it's backstabbing, we're seeing it literally politic at the highest level of politics right in front of our eyes. These two have had the ability to do this forever. All premiers, frankly, have had the ability to do this forever. And this should have been done. Not now, but if there was ever a time in recent history where it should have been done, was during COVID. There was this national or global health crisis, and we needed more healthcare workers. And that was the most opportune time. The fact that an idiot like me can see that and tie those dots, and I'm not getting this type of salary that these politicians are, I'm not talking to the same people that these politicians are. The fact that I can see that and they somehow can't, or they're ignoring it, really pisses me off, because our politicians are supposed to be doing good work. They're supposed to be people that we look up to. I shouldn't be smarter than a politician. And frankly, I feel like a genius when Ford talks.
I got to say, when I go to the hockey rinks and the farmers markets in Manitoba, people are talking about the job that you're doing with Team Canada. And people are so proud and happy to see the rallying around the flag effect right now. And so I'm very glad to be here to represent the people of Manitoba and to put pen to paper on the next stage of working together to build up our great country. We're knocking down trade barriers, and we're building up Team Canada. Ontario, Manitoba, and everybody coming to the table. It's a great thing to see. We know that our country has been threatened, and it's been inspiring to see Canadians respond to these risks presented to our economy by saying, you know what, we want to take advantage of this opportunity and build Canada up to be even stronger, to have even more jobs, to have even more money being put into the wallets and the bank accounts of people right across this great land.
Here they go again, trying to make this about tariffs, and there's a threat to our economy, so Canadians need to band together around the flag. Yeah, no, that should have always been happening. And right now, again, it's politics and branding about getting your message out there, and I'm calling horse crap. I'm really calling horse crap. You a-holes have had the ability to do this since the dawn of time, yet nobody did. In fact, the only politician that's really been talking about this for years and years is Pierre Poilievre. He wanted to cut down intraprovincial trade barriers, but all these people, they're just pencil pushers, or they don't do anything. They just collect their paycheck and they wait for times like this to smile and wave at everybody. Woohoo, look what we're doing. Elbows up. It's just frankly disgusting. And I can't help but get mad about it.
And so I think we got a real window right now to do the big nation-building projects that have just been ideas for the past number of years. Now we can get shovels in the ground. And when we talk about putting people to work, the people with the hard hats and steel toes, the engineers and professionals, being able to work right across Canada, that is the opportunity that we're talking about here today. Of course, Premier Ford was talking about the $20 billion that flows back and forth across Manitoba and Ontario's borders. But where we live, it's about culture, it's about people, it's about a shared Canadian identity. Winnipeggers who vacation in Lake of the Woods, Ontario. I myself was born in Kenora before, of course, growing up in Manitoba. And so the ties that bind are so strong between Manitoba and Ontario. And when we look ahead to the future and we talk about building up this country's economy, I want Canadians to know that this is really about trust. When a Manitoban looks on TV and they see Premier Ford fighting the good fight on our behalf, it's because there's trust between our jurisdictions. And when an Ontarian looks to the Winnipeg Jets and sees us bringing home the President's Trophy, there's an element of trust there. And so the great nation-building project ahead of us is bringing the Stanley Cup home to Canada. And while we may not always agree on which team is the right one to fulfill that task, I think there's no dispute around the fact that we're all in this thing together. And when we're talking about health and safety, we're talking about making sure that people have the qualifications to get the job done right. There's that element of trust there too. We trust that somebody who gets a red seal in Ontario, somebody who gets a professional designation in Nova Scotia or New Brunswick, we trust that they're going to be able to do a great job if they come to Manitoba. And we can guarantee that you can trust us as well, too, that when we send our tradespeople, we send our engineers, we send our best to go work on a project here in Ontario, they're going to be able to get the job done right. Canadians elected us to do big things together. And so I'm very proud to be here with Premier Ford to put pen to paper on a deal to make our country stronger and to make sure Manitoba and Ontario are going to succeed for generations into the future. Miigwech, merci. Thank you very much.
I can just imagine what's going through both of their minds when they're shaking hands. We're almost done, bro. We're almost done. Smile for the cameras. We're almost done. Then we're going to go talk shit about how we can screw over our people in our respective provinces significantly more. Come on, bro. We're almost done. My goodness, man. The charades never end. And this is where people are really fatigued. And I get it now, because last year and the year prior, when this channel really started to take off, I saw people saying a lot in the comments, or even face to face when I'd see people, out in the wild. They'd say, how do you still watch Question Period or politics? How are you not exhausted from it? And I never really had an answer other than I'm fairly new to politics, and it's very exciting. But now that when you're around the block a little bit and you see the lies and the manipulation and the gaslighting, dude, it's exhausting. Like, it makes me so angry, and it's taking time off of my life. And it's like, I don't want to be angry, but I can't avoid what I'm seeing now. Like, you can't unsee it once you've seen it. And that sounds crazy to anyone who's on the outside of that glass looking in. But be careful what you wish for, because if you want to see how politics really works, your life is never going to be the same afterwards. Like, not that it gets worse, but it's very, very exhausting.
We're looking at live pictures with Ontario Premier Doug Ford and also Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew signing a memorandum of understanding. And this is essentially to tear down some of the interprovincial trade barriers. These provinces are working together to protect workers and businesses by unlocking the free trade right across the country. And this actually follows another MOU that was recently signed in support of free trade with Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. And essentially, this is legislation to break down a lot of the barriers so that free trade of goods and services and the movement of these qualified in-demand workers throughout Canada to continue to produce good results for both economies.
So there it is. Voila. It's all wrapped up. We have intra-provincial trade barriers between those two respected provinces, and that's how easy it was. And in case, again, you're wondering, why wasn't this done before? I wish I knew how to fill the silence. I wish I knew what to say. I don't know. Political gain, money, manipulation, gaslighting, tactics, campaigning. Like, there's so many words that could be used. None of them actually involve common sense, so go figure. And this is what's so frustrating, because neither of them have given each other or themselves some emergency sweeping powers to be able to do this. Everything is still running the way it is. Yeah, tariffs, bad. Orange Man, bad. The power dynamic hasn't changed for either one of those premiers. All that's changed is the branding of liberals across the country. Notice how I said liberals, though, and Ford is a conservative? Yeah, he's a liberal just working under the Conservative Party. And after that last federal election that recently took place, he's got a bit of a target on his back with just politics, like commentary wise. It's not a threat. But I've seen a lot of other YouTubers in this space say that Ford better watch his back when he goes and campaigns again. And you know what? I actually want to play a role. I don't know to what extent, but I would like to play a role in making sure that Ford never gets reelected again. He is truly, truly the most disgusting piece of crap premier in this country. And David Eby's still a premier. Go figure. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, it'd be super awesome for you guys to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all in another video. Bye for now.